everybody. Happy Monday. I'm very happy to get a stream up today, and we have some really good stories to go over. So thank you, everyone, for joining me. The way these streams work, if you're new to them, is that we're going to go over the first 3 stories of the day. Then for the final 10 minutes of the stream, you can ask me anything that you'd like, and then I'll do a couple of shout-outs. Nightmare TV, thanks for joining. If you join during a live stream, you will get a shout-out when you join. So welcome, everybody. We do have some interesting things to discuss. All right, so the first story of the day. Hold on here. Boop. All right. Oh, well, that kind of covers up the numbers a little bit. But anyway, I would not say, I tweeted out that the Suicide Squad underperformed on HBO Max based on these numbers. But I wouldn't call it a flop. Hey, Ryan J. Kostler, particularly when you try to compare it to Disney Plus. However, I would say that no one can do Netflix numbers. This is very, very interesting. All right, so it was revealed about 45 minutes ago or half an hour ago. Samba TV put out their best estimate as to what the view count was for the Suicide Squad on HBO Max. Now, HBO Max doesn't release any numbers. They don't release any information whatsoever. They did say that it was the second most popular movie on the service, which is true based on these numbers. But they do not compete with Nielsen. So, Nielsen does not get the information, so they can't include that. So we'll never see how it ranks in the Nielsen top 10. So that's, I wish HBO Max would get in there because I feel they would be competitive. Hey, Sam Yeager. And I think someone else, Ryan J. Kostler. Thank you both for joining. So let's go over the numbers and then I'll give you a little bit of perspective on them. So Samba TV estimates that the top movie watched for the first weekend in the United States is Mortal Kombat with 3.8 million views over the 3-day period. That's very strong. I think it just goes to show how strong the Mortal Kombat brand is, and I think that I think it's going to take a little bit of time because I think they realize that creatively they weren't where they should be. But I do feel that you'll see more Mortal Kombat content outside of the games coming from Warner Brothers in the not so distant future. I don't think it's the near future because remember also Warner Brothers is kind of in a holding pattern for a year now until Discovery takes over. So you have a little bit of a lag time where no big creative decisions are going to be made, certainly not with pivoting a brand. So I think once Discovery comes in, just like you're getting more Mortal Kombat animated movies, I think you'll get more Mortal Kombat stuff because, at least I think these numbers speak very well for HBO Max content. EMAC just said, how about an animated series? How about a show on HBO Max? I think that number shows that maybe they should do something like that. Then the Suicide Squad is in second place, but it's not a close second. I think that if it had a 3 in front of it, I think that would be considered a big success. But the fact that it's a million below Mortal Kombat when the Suicide Squad is such a much bigger brand. DC, they've been making movies for longer. It was a big lag between the movies for Mortal Kombat. I think that the Suicide Squad shouldn't have been a million below. You would think that they would be at least neck and neck, if not Suicide Squad would be bigger. So that's why I'm saying underperformed. However, to its credit, the Suicide Squad did do better than Wonder Woman 1984, which was behind it at 2.2. Although I think that also you can account for more subscribers being added between those. It's a very big time gap between those two movies. Wonder Woman 1984 basically kicked off the app in December, whereas, the Suicide Squad is coming out in August, literally 8 months later. So hopefully, I think that the increase in viewership, hey, David W., would point to the subscriber growth in that time. So that goes to show that DC is very popular on the site. So that's fantastic. And then last place, at least in this lineup, is Zack Snyder's Justice League with 1.8, which is a full million below the Suicide Squad. So I think that's one of the reasons that you're not seeing the Zack Snyder's Justice League continuing, because the numbers are low there, lower than I think they would potentially have wanted. But Zack Snyder's over at Netflix now, where he's doing fantastic. Think about this for comparison. All these numbers. Army of the Dead did 72 million views in its first month. But there's no way that something that does 2.8 or 3.8 out of the gate is going to hit 72 million in just a month. That's only like 4 more weekends. So that also gives you an idea of how many more subscribers. I mean, sure, it's global, but just how much bigger the Netflix audience is. Like, I don't even think that any of these movies are going to get up to 50 million views in the first month. They're probably going to maybe get around, I think they're going to struggle to hit 20 million in the first month. But I just think that that just goes to show you that, you know, the services are limited in their subscribership as well. Now, one of you pointed out when I tweeted about this that R-rated content is doing particularly well on the service, and I think that is a great observation. Mortal Kombat and the Suicide Squad are both rated R, and as we discussed prior to the Suicide Squad's release, it's fantastic because they don't age gate you on the streaming service. So anyone who has an account can get it. So those movies did very well because, you know, you didn't have to go to a theater and be potentially turned away. You could watch it, at home. So R-rated films are also benefiting substantially from being on the service. So I think that's very interesting. I think that's extremely interesting. So I think that's great. Now, I think something to account for here are the subscribers. I think that the subscribership on HBO Max is still lagging behind the other services. I think, you know, also, but it is still growing, so I feel like that's why, and it's a bigger brand, so that's why the Suicide Squad would still be considered an underperformer with these numbers. I also think that's something to consider that would everybody who streams the Suicide Squad at home have necessarily gone to a theater. A lot of people are happy to wait to watch content, and so those people might have waited to watch the Suicide Squad. But since they could watch it day and date at home, you have a lot of people who normally wouldn't wait to watch these movies watching them the weekend they come out. So I don't think, you know, some people say, oh, if it wasn't on HBO Max, all that money would have exactly translated to the box office. Of course it would have been bigger, but I don't think you would have gotten the exact, it's not that audience wouldn't have necessarily picked up and gone over to the multiplex. So I just think it's very interesting. I think that I tried to figure out what Disney Plus might be. Now, this is global. Now, there's different price points in different countries, but $30 million was what Jungle Cruise did for its opening weekend. And is my math correct here? Would that mean 1 million streams at the $30 price point? Could somebody just, you know, just make sure that, just verify that for me? Because my math, I just want to make sure my math is right. Does $30 million at $30 a stream mean 1 million? Michael says yes. All right, great. So that's only 1 million. That's lower than all of these movies over on Disney Plus. So that's pretty interesting. And so that just goes to show how much money Warner Brothers is losing by not charging for these films. Even Black Widow at $60 million was only 2 million views. So Black Widow got less views globally than any of these movies except for Zack Snyder's Justice League did in the first weekend. So that is very nice for HBO Max. But I think what's powering HBO Max's bigger numbers is that they're for free. Those movies are free with the subscription. So I think that, I don't think that HBO Max is getting enough subscribers to warrant the revenue loss. I think that they would have liked the 30 or 60 million extra rather than saying, oh, hey, look, we got more views. That's how I feel about it. What would you guys have done? I mean, I don't think they didn't necessarily had to charge $30, but I think HBO Max should have charged $15 or something, or $20. I think I would have gone with 20. I'd be like, it's $10 cheaper than Disney Plus. I mean, would you still have watched the Suicide Squad on HBO Max if they charged you $20? Dre Film says $16.99. That looks pretty nice. That's right, Mika. HBO Max is significantly more expensive. A lot of you would not have watched it if you had to pay. That's interesting. Maybe would you have gone to the theater or would you have just waited? I think that at the end of the day, Hollywood is a business about making a profit. And so who really cares how many people streamed it? Because it doesn't, the real number of interest is how many more subscribers did HBO Max get? And if 3.8 million people watched Mortal Kombat and 1 million less watched the Suicide Squad, then you could argue that it didn't maybe drive any subscribers, that maybe nobody subscribed. I mean, I guess maybe they could say they kept people subscribed. I guess that would be the benefit. But to me, the actual number of people who watched it is meaningless from a business perspective unless you're wondering about the strength of the brand. Then it's valuable. That's true. You know, I think that this gives me a little bit more hope for Peacemaker as an HBO Max show. It might do quite well for them. So that's good. I also wish that we knew how many people were watching the Disney Plus shows. We only know what the minutes are based off of Nielsen. How many people watch Loki? How many streams are there of, Invincible or The Boys? We don't know. So it's very, very interesting indeed. So I just wanted to explain to you why the Suicide Squad numbers would be considered an underperform. But not a flop. Not a flop. Not a flop at all. I think the Suicide Squad doesn't have to be, I wouldn't say that the number is embarrassing for them. It's just unfortunate. You're like, oh, that's a shame. You're not like, oh my God. But instead you're like, oh, it's too bad. It should have been equal to Mortal Kombat. Quite frankly, it should have been bigger, in my opinion. Although that's very nice for Mortal Kombat. That Mortal Kombat is still number one over a DC movie, that's pretty sweet. That's actually fantastic for them. And as Juan pointed out, the real problem with the Suicide Squad, by far, is that it cost that much money, that it cost $185 million. That's the real problem with the Suicide Squad, that it cost too much money. Even Joker was a very inexpensive movie. This first Deadpool was $55 million only. The second Deadpool cost like a little over $100 million to make, but that's still less than $185. That's the real problem with the Suicide Squad. I think that the trades would be singing a very different tune if the Suicide Squad had been brought in for like $100 million or less. Ideally, maybe $85 to $75 million. And I gotta tell you, it didn't really look like an expensive movie. Maybe it's because they had a lot of really good VFX in the film. But I have to say, I don't think that, and that's right, no visual effects for Joker, you're right. But I don't really feel like the Suicide Squad felt like it cost $185 million. Because I know they certainly weren't paying that to anybody unless James Gunn got a big payday. Probably Margot Robbie. But it's not like Will Smith's in there collecting $20 million. So very interesting to me. That's right, Marco. They spent it all on Starro. I saw a Starro clip on Twitter today when he was screaming, and he just looked so disgusting. I was like, I must look away. It was so gross with the little flaps on the front of him. I was like, that's disgusting. All right. But I bet they did spend a lot on Starro. So anyway, that's the breakdown on the HBO Max numbers for the Suicide Squad. It's an underperformer, but I certainly wouldn't call it a flop on HBO Max. And as I said, I feel a lot better about Peacemaker on the show, on the service. I gotta tell you, no one cares about Doom Patrol. Like, nobody. Like, it's a shame because it's such a good show. But like, Doom Patrol is like driving zero numbers. It's incredible. Like, at least Titans drives some interest. Like, Doom Patrol is truly like a charity, an act of charity by HBO Max that they continue to air that show. Hopefully, maybe it'll get good numbers on the service. But I'm just shocked at the lack of interest in Doom Patrol. The last time the Doom Patrol aired on season 2, like, no one cared. I was like, why am I even covering this show? It's just nobody watches it. But I hope for HBO Max its audience gets bigger. But it's insane. It's crazy. I mean, so let's see how Peacemaker does. Who here is going to watch Peacemaker? I'm going to watch Peacemaker. I'm not going to not watch a DC show. Hey, Elliot. I'm glad you made it. Random Gamer says, I'll never watch Peacemaker. That's funny. Some of you say no, but I mean, come on, we're going to all give it a shot. My question is, what's the quality of it? Does it look like as good as a Disney Plus show? I'm very interested in all of that. All right, so that's the first story of the day, and I really wish that we would just actually get these numbers instead of these third-party services having to guess. And I so wish that HBO Max was included in Nielsen, because they could obviously compete. Black Widow, with 2 million views, was number 3 in Nielsen Remember this past week on Movie Math, this weekend yesterday, we looked at the top 10 chart for week of release for Black Widow, and with 2 million views, it was able to be the third most watched movie. So imagine where Suicide Squad could have been on that chart. I just don't understand why they don't let Nielsen cover them. I mean, they can't keep doing this thing where they run in like with Wonder Woman and they're like, well, actually, we would dominate this chart. If you don't participate in the chart every week, you got to stay out of the chart. But I really want them in there. I really feel they would be competitive. It's very frustrating to me. Maybe we'll do a Peacemaker watch-along. I got to see what time it drops. It's hard to do the watch-alongs because there's just watch-alongs like a lot of these shows are going to be running over each other. It's like it's a card. I prefer to do the movie watch-alongs. We had a really good time watching Suicide Squad together. That was a lot of fun. All right, so that's the first story of the day. So also, here's the real lesson here. There's not a lot in streaming in terms of views. Although also when you look at 1 million people to watch, that just goes to show you also how few people watch anything. That's why things do so well in the ancillary market, because so few people actually go to the movies when you consider the price of a movie ticket. It's like the dirty secret of entertainment. Not that many people partake, which is why Netflix is just such a juggernaut, because they can get everybody just to pay a subscription service and get tons of content. And that's why they just are making so much money. It's crazy. All right, first story of the day. Second story of the day. Boop. All right, get ready to be annoyed, some of you. I really wonder what's going to happen at these movie theaters, because people who are pro-vaccine are like, hey, man, I'm just not going to go. But people who are anti-vaccine are like, I'm so upset that you won't let me in, that I'm going to protest, and I'm going to, it's like crazy. Like, it's really disruptive. And it's like, it's just insane. So, I don't want to deal with that. I just want to go to a movie and feel safe. That's all. And I'm sure some of you will have some choice words to say about that. But this is a safe space. All right, so Europe is already starting to implement vaccine mandates. In fact, Italy did it last week, where you have to have what's it called, like a green pass? Although there were already reports of people looking the other way because they would like you to, come to their business. So anyway, New York City will be the first city in the United States to do a vaccine mandate, and Los Angeles is considered doing one as well. So the vaccine mandate will it'll do a soft launch August 16th in New York City, but it won't be till September 13th until New York City will start enforcing it, whereas they'll have fines for establishments that don't do the vaccine mandate. So they're giving basically restaurants, movie theaters, museums, any indoor activity, they're giving them a month to kind of figure out how to handle this. I think they're going to have to hire security guards. I think it's not fair to ask regular employees, to police this. I don't think a regular employee should have to deal with somebody, whether or not they can come in or not. I think you need a bouncer. So maybe the security business will really shoot up in terms of opportunity. But I would think that every movie theater, every restaurant, every museum needs to have security handle this. It's just not appropriate to ask a regular employee to do that. I just don't think, it's just really bad. So the way it's going to work is that to get in, you have to have proof of vaccination. I believe you only even have to have the first shot. It's a little bit conflicting on that. But what you have to do is you have to show the proof of vaccination. Now, you can show the digital pass, which it finally came in. It's crazy. The New York had so much information and so many people getting vaccinated at first that it took a long time for them to enter all of it. But I finally have my Excelsior pass. But you can also show like the little white CDC card. Now, I was very sad to hear that some people are buying fake CDC cards, which I think isn't surprising because, society, but it's very easy to replicate. So I think that keep in mind that even if there is a vaccine mandate, I don't really think you can guarantee that 100% of the people in there with you are vaccinated. I think it will be a pretty darn good filter, though. I think you'll get most of the people out. So that's how you get in. Now, September 13th won't be soon enough for Shang-Chi. That comes out Labor Day weekend. So I think you can clearly see from the way movie theaters are going. I do think that the Delta variant was a factor in the Suicide Squad's underperformance. I think there are other elements. I still think underperforming for Suicide Squad would have been around 30. The under 30 was like really bad. But I think that if movie theaters don't do this, they're going to really struggle, especially going into the fall and the holidays, which are when you see an increase in colds and germs spread anyway. So today, NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners, not the political group, but NATO said, you know what? We thought about it. We've decided that we're going to support the vaccine mandate in New York City and probably Los Angeles if they implement it. Our theaters are going to go along with it because we feel that while we might lose some people who won't go because they're not vaccinated, we feel we're going to lose everybody who is vaccinated. And New York and Los Angeles are pretty high vaccination locations, and they're also very big movie theater markets. So I think this makes sense. I think regions are going to do what's appropriate for them. And I think that, as I tweeted the other day, as soon as the FDA approves the Pfizer vaccine, which should happen any week now, they have until January 22 to approve it, but they're racing to approve it. So they want to approve it in the fall. So I think that, and I really would like this to work out because I don't want a booster shot. I don't want to do this again. I already put enough vaccine in me. I don't want to have to inject any more. So, and also, I saw one doctor point out and said, all these people are like, oh, the vaccine is too experimental. But in fact, the treatment for coronavirus is way more experimental and untested than the vaccine. So, if you're willing to, if you get coronavirus, boy, are you going to be experimented on. So it's a difficult scenario. So I'm very curious to see how this works out. Will I run into the movie theater and the restaurant as soon as it happens? I shall not, because I feel there's going to be a lot of fighting and screaming and yelling, and I don't want to deal with that. So I think that the FDA will approve it, and once the FDA does approve the vaccine, everyone is going to implement a vaccine mandate, because that's the final valid excuse to say you don't want to get vaccinated. I think that if you say that it's technically experimental because it's not FDA approved, I think it's an unfortunate but valid legal argument. I think that once it's FDA approved, you're not going to have a leg to stand on. That's funny, Denzel. Yeah, I can't drink regular Coke because it has partially hydrogenated oil is a major ingredient. So that's really bad for you. So I only can drink Mexican Coke, which uses real sugar. So let's see what happens. So that's right, J-Lo, 1972. Not FDA approved is not the same thing as experimental, but it is, I think that's the FDA thing is really important. I got the Pfizer vaccine. It just made me tired each day that I took it. I'm very grateful that I did it. So if you're thinking of a vaccine to choose, that's the one I picked. I did the Pfizer vaccine. And you're only fully vaccinated like 2 weeks after your second shot. So you just be careful about that and keep that in mind. And I have to tell you, I still wear a mask indoors everywhere I go, even though I am vaccinated. It's just the way it was described that I saw this, it made sense to me, was Swiss cheese layers of protection. Every layer has holes in it, but if you layer the slices of Swiss cheese, this one covers the hole up on that one, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what makes it a little bit safer. But let's see how these vaccine mandates work out. If they really, really increase business at the movie theaters, I think you'll see maybe AMC and other companies decide to implement them in other parts of the country if maybe that works. So we'll see what happens. Would any of you not go to the movie theater? Okay, I would like to know, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but would you be more likely to go to the theater because of the vaccine mandate? Would you be less likely? Do you not care? I'm just curious how you feel about it. Newswriter says more likely. More likely from Devin as well. A lot of you would go. I see some don't cares. I don't see anyone saying they would not go. Oh, I do see one. Tanya would not go. That's interesting. I think that they are going to lose some business, but I think for the most part, they're going to gain a lot more business. I think the first couple of weeks are going to be super rough, and it might be hard to watch your movie over all the screaming outside. But I think it'll settle into a place that's good. I think that there's going to be a vaccine mandate everywhere across the entire globe, probably by the end of the year. So you're going to probably have to get it eventually. You might as well get it now while it's easy to get an appointment. But again, it's your choice. You just won't be able to go into anywhere. All right, so that is the second story of the day. Third story of the day. Boom, baby. The Netflix Tim Burton Addams Family show called Wednesday is really picking up speed. And I think these two casting announcements are excellent. Wow. You know, we talk about race bending all the time. And I've always said that if you get the right actor, everybody will be super in favor of it because it just makes perfect sense. And this show is doing some of the best casting I've ever seen. Jenny Ortega was already announced as Wednesday Addams about like a month or so ago, and she's a fantastic choice. And then today it was announced that Catherine Zeta-Jones will be playing Morticia Addams, and Luis Guzman will be playing Gomez Addams. And that, to me, is just spot on casting. As Josh Loves Movies says, that is just perfection. I mean, the casting is so good, I can't believe it. Catherine Zeta-Jones actually has absolutely no Latino heritage, but she always gets cast in those types of roles. Of course, her big breakout role was in the Zorro movies back in the day. But I think she will do a fantastic job on this show. It's like perfect casting for her. She looks a little different these days. You know, it's tough for actresses to get older in Hollywood. Sometimes, you know, they make some bad choices in terms of plastic surgery. But I'm rooting for Catherine Zeta-Jones. I want her to do well. And I thought that Angelica Houston, of course, did a perfect job in the movies. I love the joke that she always had an eye light. And I hope they do some fun stuff with that here, too. Tim Burton, of course, this is like shooting fish in a barrel for him. So I just hope the script is good. I just think it's going to be really great. Britt says Catherine is unlikable. I think sometimes she is, but I think that in the right role, it's like she's embracing that image of herself. And it's like Anne Hathaway being like the villain in Ocean's 8. Hey, MSI Dragon, I think this is just, she is Morticia Addams. And I think Luis Guzman is Gomez Addams. I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And I just think that you can just look at all three of them there and you're like, this is a fantastic Addams Family show. So I'm very, very excited for it. I think it's a huge win for Netflix, and they're casting it really nicely. All right, so those are the three stories. Who's going to watch this show? I mean, everyone's going to watch it. I'll be curious to see if any of you say you will not. I mean, it's on Netflix. You already have Netflix. The casting's incredible, although Anand does not see it. Oh, Ryan's not going to watch it. Oh, craziness. It looks so good. Ivan says, I need a trailer. That's fair. That's fair. Jonathan also needs a trailer. Interesting. It looks so good to me. This casting is incredible. I like that, Marvelous Jack. Catherine Zeta-Jones is an honorary Latina. All right. So those are the three stories of the day. It's 5:54. You can ask me anything you'd like until 6:04. Anything that you would like. Who wrote that? Sufjan says, did you see that Marvel Studios only pays $5,000 to comic book writers? For what? Random Gamer 77, I am excited for Netflix's Nightmare of the Wolf. That's the Witcher animated movie, but it looks almost exactly like Castlevania to me. Hey, the Power Bunny, which I find like a little weird. Even down to having the same voice actor, Theo James. This week is all about Marvel's What If. That's like the focus of my week. Mika says, if Shang-Chi underperforms, what will happen to other MCU movies? Well, they might push Eternals out of November. Shang-Chi, they're going to sacrifice Shang-Chi, I think, to make a point about Black Widow. I think that if there was any chance of them potentially deciding to do a day-and-date release for Shang-Chi, it went out the window as soon as Scarlett Johansson decided to sue. I think they're like, you want to see a movie bomb? We'll show you a movie bomb. Although I think the timing, they did find the right window for Black Widow. That was the time to release a movie in the United States. Not so much right now. Steve says, how do you think IMAX and Dolby formats will fare in the future? That's a great question, Steve. I was going to mention this on Movie Math next week, and I probably still will, but I was looking in the trades, and in the comments section of the trades, one individual made a really strong point. And they said people who go to theaters still so prefer the premium screen experience that it's not good that they switch to a new movie every week, that you can really only get the premium screen for a week, maybe 2 at most if you're lucky. Like Suicide Squad is staying on a lot of IMAX screens this week, and Free Guy's taking the Dolby over. But, Suicide Squad can't stay on both, and most multiplexes only have one of each. So I think that what you're going to see in the future is that multiplexes will have to have multiple IMAX and Dolby theaters instead of only having one per theater. Because I think that's clearly how people, for the most part, prefer to see these movies. I always prefer to go to a Dolby or an IMAX if I can. Mike Abner says, what's your favorite Disney ride? Well, I really love Flights of Passage, which is the new Avatar ride at Disney's Animal Kingdom. But Peter Pan is the classic, and Small World. I think that's why those always are very popular. So I've been seeing a lot of people ask me this, and I'm sorry, it was a little distracting earlier, but Madeline says, can you give a Boom Baby shout out for Lisa? She's having a baby. Lisa, I'm so happy for you. That's so wonderful. I don't know you very well. I only know you through these streams, but I am sure you're going to make a wonderful mother. So, Boom Baby, congratulations. It's just going to be great. Congratulations to your whole family. I hope Lisa's still here and saw that. I know you guys are hearing a lot of rumors about delays, and I wouldn't be surprised if they happened. I'm not hearing anything from my sources, but I think everybody knows that everybody's freaking out. I think that it'll be really crucial to see how Free Guy and Shang-Chi do, and then it'll be really important. A happy birthday, Bug! Is Lisa still here? It'd be funny if Lisa had, I saw she was here earlier. Hilarious. Well, please tell Lisa that I said something nice. And that everybody wished her such nice congratulations here. You guys are really sweet. Ivan says, is Ms. Marvel's show releasing this year or 2022? Hey, Sean M. It hasn't been confirmed. Oh, there's Lisa. Yay! It hasn't been confirmed when it's releasing. TV Line, one of the reporters, said that it was a safe bet that it was 2022, and I agree with that. I mean, Hawkeye launches like around Thanksgiving, like the day before Thanksgiving. There's no room for Ms. Marvel to debut for the rest of the year, so I think it's going to be 2022, which is fine. I mean, remember, What If runs for 9 weeks, so they have the space. They want to be careful there. Marvelous Jack, I don't watch any of the other Housewives shows. I only like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm very excited for Hawkeye, Tracy. I'm so excited for Kate Bishop. Yes, that's right. Boba Fett will probably debut as soon as Hawkeye ends. So, let's see. Hawkeye starts November 24th. Let me look at the calendar. So let's say it's 6 episodes, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's crazy. We'll take up the rest of the month. I don't think there'll be any overlap. That would be nuts if there were overlap. Why would you debut Hawkeye and Boba Fett on the same day? Maybe they'll start Boba Fett in January. Maybe Hawkeye's only like 4 or 5 episodes. That sounds stupid. We'll see. Everyone's like, what about, Madeline's asking about Mandalorian 3. Everyone keeps saying it's going to film, but then it never actually films. So, that's a very touchy subject, as you know. A lot of drama on that. So I'm not going to address it until they actually confirm that they're shooting for reals. Like, everyone's just speculating. They're like, oh yeah, sure, we're going to start shooting. I mean, I don't see how they can. Maybe they're going to do it without Pedro Pascal, but he's shooting The Last of Us for a year. I mean, he could just do voiceover again. They have a lot of Star Wars shows coming up. They have Boba Fett, they have Obi-Wan, they have Cassian Andor. A lot of shows. Lot of shows. Ahsoka? When's Ahsoka coming? I'm so excited about Ahsoka. John is a fan of things. Says, Grace, what are your thoughts on the Stranger Things 4 teaser? Too short, too quick. It didn't even trend because they just didn't give anybody anything to talk about. Like 11 with bangs, we need more than that. So I think that when they have a full trailer, they should be back to the races. But boy, everybody sure got big, didn't they? You're like, woo! Everybody shot up like a vine. Bye, Newswriter 22. We have 2 more minutes. I don't have any Spider-Man updates for you. I mean, I could ruin the entire movie for you, but I think that would be really uncool. Oh, Rashad has a good question. Thoughts on Marvel changing Peggy Carter to Captain America on the Twitter account instead of Sam Wilson's Captain America? So if you haven't seen this, basically Marvel was like, hey, let's promote Captain Carter, who's debuting on Wednesday in the Marvel What If show. And since the Captain America account has so many followers and it's the same family, let's just have her take it over for a little bit. And understandably, people are like, whoa, don't take it away from Sam Wilson. And I saw some people point out that he has not had it for very long as it is. I would agree with that. I understand why they made that choice. Hey, Andres Bejer, but it was the wrong choice to make. I think that they should have created a new Captain Carter account, to be honest with you. Captain Carter's going to be around for a while. That's all I'll say. But I don't think that was a fair thing to do to Sam because, they're working really hard to move the mantle over to him. So I'm surprised that not anyone at Marvel was like, oh, it's a bad idea. I'm just surprised that didn't occur to anybody. I'm sure it'll switch back to Sam Wilson after, but I think they can't really share the account. I think they need to have separate accounts. She's also not technically Captain America. She's Captain Britain or Captain Carter as she's called on the show. So she's not even Captain America. So I don't understand why you would give her that account. I think that account could tweet about her, but I would not change it to her. JP123 says, how many episodes or what if? I think, no, that was not JP123. Evan Moore asked. Evan Moore, it's 9 episodes. My bad. It was originally 10, but it was revealed recently that one of the episodes won't be done in time, so it is being moved to season 2. Oh, it's 6:04. All right, let me do a couple of shout outs, then I gotta go. So just give me something to interact with you guys. What you're up to, where you are, what you're eating, just anything, just so I can say hi. I can't answer any more questions. You guys are just asking me questions still. Happy birthday, Brett Crandall. Everybody's having a birthday. How nice. Bug says it's wine time in Madison, Wisconsin. Hey, you enjoy that, Bug. It's your birthday. Ryan's going to have some spaghetti for dinner. Oh, that's delicious. Pastor Madeline is making some pumpkin ravioli. Oh, it's like so fall everywhere already. Jerome Wanless is curled up in bed and ready for sleep. Aw, have sweet dreams. Good night. Thanks for letting us be your bedtime entertainment. iReady says, I finished drawing the illustrations for Hansel and Gretel. Congratulations. Fidel says, just finished the first day of school here in Memphis. Oh, that's fantastic. I hope you felt good about it and everybody was safe. Denny B says, I'm editing behind-the-scenes footage for a featurette for my friend's film. Oh, that's so nice of you. Random Gamer says, where'd that go? Recovering in bed from a really stiff back while eating some Greek yogurt with granola. Oh, that's great. Take care of yourself. Chico says he's going to watch the new episode of Ted Lasso after this. Nice use of the soccer ball emoji. Let's see here. Ryan Olson is playing Injustice 2. Excellent choice. Thanks for staying up, Jerome. Let's see here. Denzel is about to rewatch Doom Patrol after the live stream. Oh, that's crazy. That's a lot of episodes. Maybe just season 2. Great season, though. Let's see here. Mike Abner is about to go out and take a drive in Puerto Rico. That sounds lovely. Thomas Hastings is eating a peach fresh off of the tree in Colorado. Wow, pretty nice, charmed life you got there. Let's see here. Ivan says, here in Mexico, my family is finally out of COVID and we're watching Chernobyl. So good. I'm so glad you're all okay, Ivan. That's fantastic. Food is My Friend is replaying The Last of Us Part 2, which is an absolute masterpiece. Oh, I'm glad you like it. I know some people were not pleased with that. Heavy Metal Lover says, taking my daughter for her first ever drive-in movie. Oh, you're going to have so much fun. I hope you have some good snacks. That should be a real treat. D. Thomas is off to read some Korean web comics. That's a cool thing to do. Let's see here. Lisa says, I'm about to find a snack in Madison, Wisconsin. Some more than one of you are in Wisconsin. That's pretty great. I believe in Madison, Wisconsin specifically. Tracy Lowe is going to go back to sleep. Tracy, you're a superstar for catching these. Braden says, at home in sunny Colorado, eating waffles with coffee. Breakfast for dinner. Living it up. And Ryan Olson had a bagel sandwich for lunch. Those are delicious. Turkey on a bagel is one of my favorites. So delicious. Turkey with a little bit of lettuce and mayonnaise. Very tasty. Spying Mentor 087 is going to watch The Suicide Squad with their family. Oh, that's great. That's a crazy movie to watch with your family, but I think you'll have a good time. And Dre Films is having cherry pie with pistachio ice cream. That is a very interesting combination. I like it. Matt Damrich is home from vacation and saw your best friends forever. That's great. I'm so glad you had a good time. Marco is back in the Italian countryside, staying up late. What a place to be. I love Italy. And Argus is wrapped in their blanket, going to play games for today. Aw, and Alexander Valentine has a tuna melt. Oh, you guys are so great. And Evan Moore is hard at work doing research for school in Ohio. Oh, you guys are having a great day. I love getting this snapshot of what you're all up to. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Lots of content tomorrow. I have a lot of what-if stuff going up tomorrow before the big day on Wednesday. All right, everybody, see you soon. Bye. Bye, everyone.